Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a short little knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Tenable Raven. Who is Tenable? It's the budget brand of Concept. So you get all the same quality manufacturing of Concept. It's just not going to cost as much because we're using more basic materials. This guy's a little more flashy than what we typically see at the budget end of the knife world because they've got this really cool rose gold, probably PVD coated blade. That's one of the options here. I like that. I hope we see that more. Typically it's like, well, you can get satin, you can get black wash, or you can get stone washed. You know, it's nice to have other options at a lower price point. I think this is a good looking blade coating, but the knife itself is pretty straightforward. It's a good EDC profile. It's a good utilitarian profile. And it's just kind of a no-brainer for people looking for that kind of inexpensive, straightforward EDC pocket knife with a little bit of flash. This is going to be a recommendable item. I'll link it down in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Thanks to Tenable for sending it in. Make sure your notifications for the YouTube, for the for the Metal Complex YouTube channel are turned on. Let's do some size comparisons. Actually, before we do that, let's measure it. Overall length of the Raven, 7.5 inches blade length. It's like 3 1/8. Cutting edge is also 3 1/8. Up against the 80-10 and my own Excalibur. It's not a small knife. It's just not as big as these larger knives. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2. Why? There it is. God. Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Very similar in overall size to the Para 3, just with a little bit more blade. And then finally up against the Benchmade Group Tillian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this knife? It is another crossbar lock. We've seen tons of these. They did fortunately do this correctly. The thumb studs on this knife are nice. I wish they had domed them off. Like, look at this. These domed, this is essentially the same thing as what they do with the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. This is so much more comfortable to engage with than a 90-degree ledge at the top. Now, this isn't bad. It's fine. It's actually very comfortable. But these are really nice to engage with because they've domed them off at the top. I like that. It's very easy to reverse flick. It's got kind of that medium high tension Omega spring. No stickiness or anything like that. Really wish that Tenable would mess around with some sort of coil spring operated spine ambidextrous locking system. That seems to be something that lots of companies are doing to spice up their line that primarily consists of liner locks and axis locks. It's 99% of the budget knife world. Please do more different things. Okay, button operated compression lock, spine, coil spring, whatever, right? Vosteed seems to have figured out a bunch of different things they can do. Hopefully, we're going to see this across the board. As far as this goes, they did a good job with it, right? I can't complain too much. It's a pretty inexpensive knife, right? Action feels good. It's nice and smooth. You've got the bearings and everything. It's fine. Carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's about exactly the same thickness, length, and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. This was a very, very easy knife to carry. I mean, I've carried a ton of knives that are essentially the same profile. It's compact. It doesn't feel too tiny. Doesn't take up a ton of room in my pocket. It's not super heavy, etc. What do we have for materials? We have kind of a smoky gray micarta. And then we have this awesome, like, FDE. They call it rose gold. Like, I don't know if I'd describe it as rose gold. Here's CJRB's rose gold. So this is, like, deeper and more earthy. I actually prefer this. I think it looks better. So that's what they're coating it with. And then we have steel liners, and for some reason, just a random bright blue G10 backspacer. Okay, that's fine. Maybe it makes it slightly easier to see if you drop it in, like, brown and gray stuff. You're like, oh, that brown and gray mass in the brown and gray mass is actually my knife because it has the blue backspacer. I don't know. That seemed really random to me, but okay. I mean, whatever. You know, I think aesthetically it would have been more complete to just do black, but I mean, it's a silly thing to complain about, I guess. Weight, steel liners, micarta, steel pocket clip, G10 backspacer, 14C28N blade. We're probably looking at about 3.5 ounces. 3.5, 3.75. Exactly 3.5. So there you go. 3.5 ounces for, what did we measure the blade at? Was it 3.5 inches? 3 and 1/8. That's fine. Balance right behind the pivot. So that's good to go. Let's do a hardware check. Get out my tools. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. T8 for the pivot. Whoops-a-daisy. Oh no, that was just me. T8 for the body screws. Here we go. T6 for the pocket clip, but that's okay. Crossbar lock, not fun the first time you take one of these apart. I would advise not, but if you have to, it's far from impossible. As long as you have the right tools for the job, should be good to go. Blade stock thickness, I'm going to guess that's 120, 125. Probably 120. Let's find out. 113 thousandths. Okay, meat and potatoes time. Very straightforward. That's a copy of the bug out. Do people still do that? I feel like I've shamed that out of most of my viewers, right? Yes. It does have the same basic long-term historical knife profile as the bug out. As you all know, we dug the bug out of the ground, like when we were looking for dinosaurs, right? The bug out, we dug it out of the ground, and this was the first knife, the first pocket knife ever discovered. So it is original, as old as time, at least as old as the dinosaurs, and anything with a similar profile obviously is a direct copy of it, right? I'm joking. Yes, it does have a similar profile to that. Drop point blade and basic handle profile. But that works. The reason we see a lot of that is because it works. Why we don't have jimping up here, I have no idea. But it is comfortable, kind of abrupt right here. This probably could have been knocked down a bit more, but okay. Pocket clip, a little long. It has a bill that comes up. It's almost like the Loch Ness Monster bill. Let's use Sean's knife here. It's got too much bill, but it doesn't hook over. So slightly less likeliness to grab. It's just a little too tall, but in and out of the pocket is super easy, right? It's not Sean's clip. It's Sabibi's clip that they forced him. They tied him up and they said, "You'll accept this." Okay, that joke's getting old. But yeah. For some reason, we have a crossbar lock, which is an ambidextrous locking system, and it is only right-handed in terms of the pocket clip position. Obviously, left-handed people will say, "Well, okay, whatever. I just carry it in my right-handed pocket because I've had to deal with that the right-handed knife world, right?" Or if you're like my brother, who I constantly criticize. He has his Demco 80 20.5 set up for right-handed tip-up carry, and he flips it over and puts it in his left-hand pocket. And I always am like, why do you do that? It's wrong. And he's like, I don't care. It's not how I like to carry it. God. I'm like, all right, fair enough. He's like, not everybody's a stupid knife reviewer. And I'm like, I guess you're right. Who am I to tell people how they carry their knives, right? And he won't change it. I think now that he knows that it bothers me, now he's doing it on purpose, which is fine. So yeah, why we don't have a left-handed mounting position for the pocket clip doesn't make any sense. If you are utilizing a fully ambidextrous locking system, then you need to have both sides for the pocket clip. I think it's just silly. The blade's got a little flat right here, comes out to maybe 85% the length of the blade, comes down to fairly, like a reasonable, it's kind of a medium thin edge. Sharpened nicely from the factory. This is 14C28N. You can see the designer right there that says, should we zoom up so we can all see it together? Blackbird blades behind this design. Kind of an interesting thing here that we have a budget knife that has studs that are also the stops. We don't have a stop pin like on the bug out right there because the studs themselves actually interact with the frame and create the stops in both the open and, no, that's wrong. We have a, does this use the crossbar? Yeah, I guess it uses the crossbar lock as the close position stop. That's fine. That'll work. And the interaction there looks to be deep. Right, it's like way back there, so you're good. Way away from the plunge grind, which I'll let you guys look at right here. Seems to thicken up somewhat aggressively, but I think you'll be okay, especially on a budget knife, right? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, they stop right here. That's cool. You have pretty basic, like straightforward drop point blade. We have a code, and then 14C28N, and then there's another code. Or what is this? Oh, it says Raven right there. Most of it's like they put Tenable right there. That's fine. Not that big of a deal. Pretty straightforward. No lanyard hole or anything like that. I've got a little backspacer, but we do have a lanyard bar, so that's nice. Pocket clip, we already talked about that. Lock up. No blade plate up, down, left to right. No lock stick. No pivot lash. Smooth and consistent in here. Pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Centering on this guy. Spot on. $60. I think that's fair. I have no problem with that. That's exactly where I expected it to land. Maybe it's $59.88 or some weird, whatever. Yeah, this is good to go. There's nothing ultra special about this. If you're shopping for this, you should be shopping for a ton of different knives in this category. But if you've landed on this knife and you just want to know, is this a good knife? Is it recommendable? Yes, it is. I think part of the reason to pick this knife up is because they offer this FDE blade and this, the construction that's been proven to be just fine for this territory. The materials that have been proven to be what people typically seek out, right? There's nothing ultra special about any other aspect of this knife. It's just a really good knife that is priced well, that has the option for that rose gold or FDE blade. I think that's cool. Generally speaking, this is a recommendable knife, and it's also a cheap knife that I like given that it is under $75. So yes, pick it up. This is a good one. It's good to go, easy to carry, nice and functional. Good. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.